Just so everyone knows, we will get started in about 5 minutes right at the top of the hour. Good afternoon, everyone. Today we have Josh Nunnally talking about food service management contracts and vended meals. Josh is our contract specialist. As a reminder, if you have questions, please put those in the chat box and we will go through those at the end of today's presentation. As a reminder, we will also be meeting on Thursday for a statewide update call, and we will be sending out a reminder on the listserv tomorrow for that. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Josh.
Thanks, Brenda. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
All right. Well, good afternoon, and everybody, and welcome to this training on food service management company. And welcome to 2022. This year seems like it's just flying by. My name is Josh Nunnally, and I'm the contract specialist for the Office of School Nutrition. And today I'll be reviewing checklist items that should be followed when carrying a food service management company contract. We have our best for all slide with our 3 pillars of academics, student readiness, and educators. Our mission statement: to develop extraordinary school nutrition professionals and provide strategies to increase consumption of healthy school meals. Our objective today will be participants will gain knowledge of the food service management contract process, from creation of request for proposal to awarded contract. Participants will learn about the documents needed by state agency to approve food service management contracts. Participants will learn where to find the vended meal prototype contracts within the meal contracts. So let's talk about the RFP timeline. I know it states food service management company contract, but most of the items we're about to discuss are also used on vended meal contracts as well. The purpose of the timeline is to provide guidance in order to obtain approval and execute a contract with an effective date of July 1st. And although this is a typical start date for many food service management company contracts, the start date can also be January 1st, although not recommended, as it may be harder to switch over from self-op to a food service management company contract mid-year. However, if you do start on January 1st, those 6 months, but the food service management company would still constitute year 1 of the contract, leaving 4 renewal years. Another thing I want to point out is that SFAs in their first year with the food service management company will have administrative and procurement review within that first year. I also want to stress, please make sure you're monitoring your contracts. In another slide, I'll show you the monitoring form the USDA provides that you can utilize to do this. This is one of the things we see missing during procurement reviews, so it's just something I want to touch on briefly. I know you currently monitor your sites, but there also needs to be monitoring of the food service management company as well, and just monitoring of that contract. You should be making sure that they are providing the services that were agreed upon in the contract. And another thing I see a lot in proposals or scholarships, this is unallowable and must not be included in the evaluation and scoring to determine contract award, and may render their entire food service management company response ineligible for a contract award. These things will all come up later in the slides as well, but I just wanted to touch on those and point out that these are common things that we see when reviewing contracts. To start the food service management contract process, an SFA should request TDOE assistance. This would occur between August and November. SFA would email TDOE contract specialist that we meet and your regional consultant letting us know that your SFA is interested in a food service management contract. You would discuss advantages and disadvantages of privatization with other SFAs and school boards. Doing this will give you a better understanding of what is entailed in a food service management contract. It is recommended to assemble a team to evaluate the current program and help solicit the RFP and manage the contract after awarding to the food service management company. This is important as it takes a team effort to prepare an RFP this substantial. The team could include a school nutrition director, legal team, procurement team, director of schools, and other district team members. Next, if you want to copy this link, and I think Randa may be putting it in the chat as well, but you can look over the USDA's contract with food service management companies guidance. This is a great resource. Here you'll find like food service management company and SFA responsibilities. You'll also find regulations that must be in your RFP, and it's just a lot of information, but by reading through it, you'll have a better understanding of what is needed in solicitation documents, and also just a better understanding of how food service management company and SFA relationship should work. And then I mentioned earlier about that monitoring document on page 84 of this guidance. You'll find that monitoring document. So the draft process, you'll begin to draft RFP. TDOE approval is needed prior to RFP publication and subsequent contract execution. One of the reasons we ask for the RFP before publication is to alleviate the chances that something is missing, which would require a rebid. We then review it a second time prior to execution. The RFP must state whether an SFA wants a fixed meal price contract or cost reimbursable contract with fixed administrative fees. Contracts for fixed meal prices are recommended because billings are based on a set rate for each meal type, and it's just an easier contract to manage. Contracts can start July 1st or after, but must end June 30th. Contracts are for 1 year with an option for up to 4 one-year renewals. Ensure that the RFP fully describes the SFA's requirements and criteria that must be used to evaluate proposals. If a proposal from a company goes beyond what the SFA requested in the RFP, the extra part is considered to be over-responsive to the RFP and must be disregarded when evaluating proposals. Guaranteed return is an amount greater than break-even that a company guarantees will remain in the food service account at the end of the contract term. If an SFA wants companies to include a guaranteed return in their proposal, this must be stated in the RFP. If a guaranteed return is requested, the RFP also must require companies to specify the methodology used to calculate the guaranteed return, which will be applied to calculate the guaranteed return for any years that the contract is renewed. The evaluation criteria I mentioned earlier as well is the criteria that the SFA will use to award points for the non-price portions of the proposal and must be included in the RFP. The number of points assigned to price must be higher than the number of points in any non-price criterion. The number of points assigned to price does not necessarily have to be greater than 50%. Points are usually distributed so that total points, maximum points are 100. Next, you create your bid protest procedures, and this is where you may speak to your district attorney for bid protest language, as they may have something that you use for district RFPs. You want to create a 21-day menu for all programs you're participating in. These menus must be developed without assistance of any food service management company bidding on the contract. They must include all milk choices offered to students. So in December or January, you'll email the RFP to me for approval, and kind of what that looks like is I go through the entire RFP, perform a contract, and use a checklist the USDA provides to make sure it has all the language listed on that checklist. All the language needed is in the USDA guidance I mentioned in slide 8. So that link, if you click on it, it has a lot of the language needed that goes in these RFPs. Also, I think it even has the checklist at the last page that I use to go through and check off a lot of these CFRs that need to be within the contract. Please make sure to submit RFP to TDOE prior to advertising to receive approval, and please allow at least 3 to 4 weeks for that review. We get quite a few coming in at the same time, so sometimes it can take a while to review them. By not submitting for prior approval, the SFA may be required to rebid the contract and incur additional advertising expenses and delays to the execution of the contract. The food service management company may not assist in drafting or developing an RFP. Approval email from TDOE will serve as SFA's documentation that the RFP has been reviewed, and the SFA can use it to solicit proposals from food service management companies. Once approved, you'll advertise the RFP. Ads must be solicited directly from an adequate number of qualified food service management companies, and the RFP must be appropriately publicized in order to provide for maximum open and free competition. The ad should run in a newspaper and on SFA's website, following district's policy regarding advertising, and we recommend a minimum of 45 to 60 days for that. Advertising must include availability of RFP, RFP number and date, brief description of what is being proposed, and instructions for obtaining a copy of the RFP, walkthrough details, and submission detail. Copies of the actual publication must be kept and submitted to TDOE. This includes a copy of the newspaper publication and a screenshot showing the RFP notice on the website. SFAs must take steps to ensure that small minority and women businesses, enterprises, and labor surplus firms are used when possible. Again, solicit to a minimum of 3 full-service food service management companies. Retain copies and submit to TDOE all solicitation documents and emails. This includes publications, specifications, vendor responses, any SFA emails to vendors, and any other documents pertaining to the RFP. At least 3 people should be selected. We recommend an odd number, even if it's more than 3. Do not select individuals who may have conflicts of interest. The evaluation committee is responsible for scoring each proposal independently, eliminating proposals that offer more or less than the RFP requirements, over and under responsive, adhering to scoring criteria and maintaining confidentiality. Make sure that the evaluators know not to use past performance when evaluating. That's something we get a lot as well. Next, the SFA will hold a pre-proposal conference for interested vendors to provide information, answer questions, and provide clarification for companies. A sign-in sheet is required to indicate attendees, allow a couple of weeks after RFP is advertised before holding meeting, and allow at least 2 weeks prior to the deadline date to ensure companies have time to develop their proposal and request any clarifications. State at the meeting that information provided orally from the SFA is not official until provided in writing to all companies that have received the RFP. Include a walkthrough of the facilities, preferably while the food service is in operation. In March or April, the food service management companies will submit proposals to SFA. The evaluation committee will analyze all food service management company proposals based on the RFP criteria. The evaluation committee awards points to responsive and responsible food service management company proposals and makes written objective evaluations and recommendations. The evaluation committee must select the offer that is most advantageous to the SFA based on the established criteria with cost as the primary factor. The evaluation committee shares written objective evaluation and recommendation of proposal awarded food service management company with the SFA's chief procurement officer. The proposal contract reviewed by SFA's attorney. I know some charter schools or smaller schools may not have this, but you might have someone on your board that can do this review for you. Evaluation forms are required to be submitted to TDOE. So email the proposed awarded RFP and attachments along with additional documents from the checklist. And then TDOE will review the selected unsigned contract and contact SFA if anything needs to be clarified or revised. Now we look at the documents needed for TDOE to approve food service management contracts. Many of these will look familiar as they're part of your formal procurement documents. We need a copy of the newspaper advertisement, proof of advertising period, the screenshot that's on your website, list of potential offers who are sent to RFP, along with any additional documents sent to them during the solicitation process, attendance list or sign-in sheet of the pre-proposal meeting, list of all questions and answers from pre-proposal meeting, list of all questions and answers received as a result of issuing the RFP, correspondence from potential offers opting not to submit proposals, template RFP and evaluation summary, evaluation criteria, scoring grid, analysis, and documentation. The food service management company's completed detail and methodology of administrative and management fees. The food service management company's completed details and methodology of guarantee to SFA, including all formulas and contingencies, documentation displaying the method of documenting donated food, rebates, and applicable credits to the SFA. Any addendums or amendments the food service management company is requesting to be added to the RFP or awarded contract. That's all the checklist items that we have. And then we get to we're now to the final contract. After changes are made by the SFA, RFP and contract should be submitted for final approval no later than April 30th. We want to make sure we give you time to, if it is a new vendor, to get set up over the summer for the new school year. Final contract with all bid documents must be submitted to TDOE for review and approval prior to final approval by local Board of Education. Once the contract is satisfactory to TDOE, the RFP will be returned to the SFA. Once SFA receives state agency approved contract, submit to the contract for approval to the local Board of Education and obtain required SFA and food service management company signatures. The last step is the executed contract with signatures by the SFA and food service management company. This is sent to me. If the RFP and our contract is altered without prior approval, it is considered an unapproved contract, and SFA may not use child nutrition funds to pay the food service management company. This includes, for the executed contract, a copy of entire approved documents in the RFP, contract authorization with official signatures, copy of school board approval minutes must be provided. And I just want to point out that although the checklist states that we would like the RFP no later than January, if you're currently working on a food service management contract, we ask that you send them to us for review by the end of February. This process to approve can sometimes take a month if multiple changes are needed, and we have multiple FSAs in and out contracts, so review times can vary depending on how many are being reviewed that year. And then just switching gears for just a second, like I mentioned, a lot of the information provided on these slides also correlates with vended meal contracts. But for vended meal contracts, we do have a prototype available. If you go to this link, and I think Rand also put that in the chat, this will take you to our vended meal prototype, but it's on our school nutrition page. You go to S&P Resources Procurement, you'll see vended meals and then the invitation for bid. And then moving forward, if you do have questions about this vended meal portion, feel free to reach out to me or the regional consultant, and we can help you decide if vended meal is right for you or if it's food service management company is the route that you need to go. This is the training feedback survey, so you can scan this QR code to take the survey for us, or you can click on the link, I think, that lets you. I think you have to do the code, though. I don't think the link will actually work. Is that right, Randa?
Yeah, if they scan the QR code with their phone, and then I'm also going to put the link to the QR code in the chat. Okay. Or to the, sorry.
Awesome. I just wanted to give everybody time to scan that if they haven't or see it in the chat. But here's my contact information if anybody wants to dig in deeper. I know this is a lot of information. Most of the time, if you're starting this process and you're brand new, it's going to make a lot of sense for us to sit down and have a conversation of what this process should look like for your specific SFA. If you've done this before, then this is probably just a refresher on like what documents you need. Basically, that checklist is a great way to make sure you have all the documents we're going to need to make sure the contract is meeting regulations, but also to get it done before the new school year starts. So, but I'm happy to answer any questions now or offline.
It looks like we have one question in the chat so far, and it says, regarding the 21-day menu, I'm using our current menu that was developed by a food service management company. Can I remove the company name on the menu and use that for, I'm assuming, the RFP document?
I don't think that should be an issue. I mean, it's still the school. I know what you're saying because you're transitioning from food service management company, possibly could get a different company. But the point of that 21-day menu, if you're still wanting to use that menu, is that you just want everyone to have the same opportunity to bid on the same products. So you're not having, so it's apples to apples comparison. You're not having one food service management company say, hey, we can provide you with chicken nuggets, and another one saying we can give you steak. I mean, that's going to be a huge difference in price that they're sending you. So that's the purpose of that menu, so I don't see that being an issue.
So far, that's the only question that I see. I don't know if you've got any sent directly to you, Josh, but so far that's all I'm seeing. We want to give it just a couple more seconds to see if anyone has anything.
like I said, I'm happy to jump on a call offline too, because I know a lot of questions are very SFA specific when it comes to food service management. So.
Yep. I'm not seeing any additional questions. I will be sending out a recap to everyone who was on this email, and that will also include the link to the survey, which is how you will get your professional standards certificate. So everyone be sure to take that survey. And like I said, we will be having a call on Thursday, which is our regularly scheduled statewide update call. If there's anyone who needs this information that wasn't on this call, have them reach out to me or Josh. I'm happy to share with them the PowerPoint and additional stuff. So with that, that's our training for today, and we will talk to you all on Thursday.